Hey guys, so I'm making a movie wrap up for the month of January. So these are all the movies that I end up watching in January. There are actually not very many. I only watched 5. I've kind of been focused more on watching some TV shows. So the first one I ended up watching was Monster Hunter. If you don't know, that was the one with Mila Jovovich, probably said it wrong, but I loved her in Resident Evil, so I decided to check out Monster Hunter because she's once again kicking ass. I did not know anything about it. I did not see any trailers, so I'm kind of going in this completely blind. But I did enjoy it. It was a pretty good action film. Not necessarily the best, but it was still enjoyable. Mila Jovovich, I can't even remember her character's name. She's in the army, and then she's a soldier. She's going to investigate one of her team that's disappeared, and she eventually runs into a sandstorm and get teleported to either another world or another dimension. I can't remember. And there she meets another warrior, and they kind of butt heads at first. But they eventually have to team up to survive, and they grow to, to respect each other. I did like their relationship. I thought it was really sweet and funny. I did enjoy the fact that they don't actually speak the same language, so they kind of had to find out a way to communicate with each other that, it kind of added some humorous moments in there. Story, they have to work together, and then she has to work to find a way to get to her world, and they have to find a way to stop their world from, invading into her. So, it kind of sets up for a sequel by the end. I thought the effects were pretty good, considering that it's just it's a action movie that I don't know the budget for it, but I'm assuming it's not one of the bigger ones. I'm probably wrong, but I did enjoy. It was a fun action movie. While I was watching it, I did enjoy the soundtrack, although probably might have to check it out again. But yeah, it was an enjoyable action movie. The next one I watched was The Queen's Corgi. Yeah, this is pretty much mediocre kids movie. The queen, she has corgis. She starts out with 3 corgis, and then she gets a puppy, and he grows up, and he's kind of spoiled. And one day, Trump and Melania come to the palace because they want to impregnate their dog, which is a corgi, with one of the queen's dogs. That's the plot. And they choose, I can't remember what the dog's name. I don't even remember what the dog's name is. But yeah, the girl, Trump's girl dog, tries to get with the main character, and he doesn't want it, and he eventually ends up biting Trump in the dick. Yeah, that happens. And so Trump storms off, and the queen scolds the dog and tells him a bad dog. So the dog logically runs away, and he ends up in the pound, and he meets this group of other dogs who help him escape to get back to the palace to stop the villain dog, his Trent, the friend that betrayed him, from being crowned top dog. And so, yeah, they stop him, and of course, the queen keeps all the stray dogs that helped him at the palace. So, it really just felt like a poor man's version of Lady and the Tramp and the Aristocrat. Honestly, just go watch Lady and the Tramp and the Aristocrats instead, because those are far better movies. The next movie was Happy Time Murder. So if you don't remember what that one was, it was the one with the puppets that are being murdered. And Melissa McCartney and her puppet partner has to stop whoever's killing these puppets or Muppets. That's what they're called. Yeah, I mean, I won't say it's the best movie, but while I was watching it was enjoyable. Because watching the Muppets, offering to give Melissa McCartney a blowjob, it was just funny. I don't know what it is about Muppets, just like, cussing and blowing each other's heads off and stuff like that, but I thought it was actually funny. Using silly string as a cum from puppets. It's actually pretty funny. I do love Melissa McCartney, so any movie she's in I'll enjoy. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. Enjoyable at least. The next movie that I watched was Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's essentially about a woman who is hired to paint a portrait for a woman who's going to get married. So she goes to this island and she is painting the portrait for this woman, and they eventually fall in love, and she's having to they have to deal with the fact that the woman who's, I'm sorry, I don't remember the characters' names, but the one of them is going to get married, so they had to come to terms with that fact and decide what to do. A lot of the movie, there's no music except for the one part where the women sing, so there's no soundtrack, which I don't necessarily mind. It reminded me a lot of The Lighthouse in the way that it was shot. I did enjoy that it did address some of the aspects of being a woman during that time. I don't remember the time period. So not only was it about women having to marry to support themselves, essentially, but also it dealt with women who had unwanted pregnancies during that time period, how they dealt with it. So it was interesting in that aspect. I won't say that I necessarily was blown away by the romance. I'm not saying it's bad. It just, it didn't really catch me. It was okay for me. I know a lot of my mutuals online, love it. They love it, and that's fine. I watched it and I was able to, there's some reasons for why I see that they liked it, but it was okay for me. I just decided to end up in my movie watch of January with a bang by watching Unplanned. If you don't know what Unplanned is, it's the pro-life anti-abortion movie. Don't remember what studio it's from. I don't think it's from Pure Flix, but I think they might have, released it on their, platform or whatever, but it was still crap. It was essentially designed to paint Planned Parenthood as this, monster that only cared about, giving women abortions. That's the only thing they focused on the entire movie, which was kind of infuriating, because when the character first joins Planned Parenthood, because she ends up joining them and working for them, they mention how Planned Parenthood, abortions aren't the central focus. It's other health, just providing health care for women, which involves other things like breast screenings and stuff like that. But that's the only thing they focused on was abortion. So it's supposed to be based on a true story, but you know how those kind of things go. The main character, it starts out with her working for Planned Parenthood, and then it goes like flashbacks to how she ends up working for Planned Parenthood. I guess she goes to college, and I think it's supposed to imply that she's this progressive woman, because she ends up going when they do the orientation and talking to people from Planned Parenthood, and she eventually joins them. She talks about how she became involved with an older man who she eventually got pregnant by, and she even talks about how she was afraid of going and telling her mother that that she had sex. So obviously she comes from a very conservative family who don't like, extramarital sex and stuff like that. So she's obviously already has this preconceived notion of what is and is not acceptable. So she goes with orientation and joins Planned Parenthood, and she eventually realizes she's pregnant, and so she goes and gets an abortion. I don't remember if her husband or her boyfriend at the time, if he knew about it and wanted to get it. I think he did, but she eventually marries the dude, and then she gets pregnant again, and she ends up getting another abortion. The kicker is that she talks about how there's a line in there where she talks about how she doesn't want a connection with him. I think that's why she got the abortion, because she didn't want to, any connection to it with him at all, which I find interesting, since that's kind of the reason other women get abortions, because they don't have very good partners, and they don't want to have to, they don't want this connection to this partner who, isn't going to support them. But yeah, she gets 2 abortions. In the second one, it's like a horror scene. They purposely paid it as like horrifying. So she takes the pills, and she's having cramps, and she goes to the bathroom, and she's like bleeding out her vajayjay, and there's like at that point it's like a clump of cells, clump of bloody cells, and she's like holding it and clutching it, and I think there's like horror movie music while this is happening. So it's supposed to be portrayed as like just this horrific moment, which, yes, abortion can be horrific if you don't want it, but you also have to realize that forcing a woman to have a child that she does not want is also just as traumatic. So yeah, it was purposely painted to paint abortion as just this horrifying experience. And I also want it goes into how her actually assisting in an abortion. So she goes in and she helps, she helps with these abortions. And they paint the women who get these abortions. I'm not sure if it's after they do it or before, but they're just like, they're wearing just these pink robes, and they are, they're lethargic, and they're always like, their heads are always bowed, and they're just it's pretty obvious that they're trying to paint these women have these abortions as traumatized by it, and the way that the head of Planned Parenthood, they paint her as this monster who's just her only concern are like abortions, pushing abortions. She goes to this conference, I think it's for like Planned Parenthood. And she goes to this conference, and they're having this. They're talking about the goals for this year, and they're like we need this number of abortions this year, and so it's just kind of this outlandish idea that Planned Parenthood is only concerned with abortions and trying to push women to have abortion, because I find ironic, since she eventually ends up leaving Planned Parenthood and becoming one of the people that kind of tries to guilt women into not having abortion. Of course, they try to paint the woman who is with the Coalition of Life. I'm pretty sure that's what the organization is called. They try to paint her as this this loving woman who's just there to help, but of course they don't really fucking say any. Doesn't really talk about any of the resources that the Coalition of Life would offer for these women who don't want to have abortions. They just, paint abortion as bad. And of course ignore all the good stuff that Planned Parenthood does as well, to focus on the one thing that they think is negative, which is ironic considering that I've gotten to a lot of arguments with pro-lifers, and when you start talking to them about alternatives for abortions, or ways to prevent abortions from actually happening, they're pretty much AWOL after that. So it's just infuriating, because it's just a blatant attempt to paint abortion as just this horrifying experience without actually addressing why women get abortions and ways to help prevent this from actually being needed. The point isn't to stop abortions, it's to prevent abortions from being necessary. And even then, even when women who do want to have abortions, even when women want to have children, there are some times where abortion is necessary because it puts the woman's life in danger. There are actually instances where women's lives have been put in danger because having actually going through the pregnancy could kill them, and it has. Women have died during pregnancy because of something or condition or something. They have been prevented abortions because of religious beliefs that have resulted in women's death, and it's fucking terrifying and horrifying. And it's just, this movie it's not genuinely trying to assist these women and actually trying to do what's best for them. It's just all about their religious beliefs, and it's just infuriating. I'm sure there are far better movies out there that actually takes an honest look at these, at abortion. And yeah, this just wasn't, and it was just a shit way to end, the month of January. So yeah, those were the 5 movies I watched. I guess the best, my favorite, are the Happy Time Murders. So I prefer the Muppet come over the pro-abortion movie. God, I can't believe I even said that. But yeah, those are the movies I watched in January. So hopefully February will be a better year or a better month. So yeah, if you like this movie or if you like this video and you want me to watch more movies, start suggesting movies down below you want me to see, and I'll see if I can watch them. I think it'd be fun to see what your interests are. So yeah, just give this video a like if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Other than that, you guys have a nice night. I'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe. Bye.